So, Dave Canales and the Carolina Panthers have already set to 53.
Well, that's fantastic. A really smart decision, young man. We can put that check in a money market mutual fund. Then we'll reinvest the earnings into foreign currency accounts with compounding interest, and it's gone.
And there it goes. Yep, it is in flux again. The roster is going to be adding more due to the waivers. We finally secured my dark horse to make the roster, Jalen Coker. And of course, we're designating everybody for IR and hopefully bringing in some more opportunities to make some more competitions in places like the secondary and pass rush. My name is Nick. This is Roll Coverage, home of the press conference breakdown. Hopefully you're ready, because I am. Let's go.
Hey, I thought it was all over.
Nope. They Roll Coverage. Sick work today. The guys are all excited. Just kind of mention, okay, here we go. A great weekend. Take care of each other. Take care of yourselves. Protect the team. And we're ready for game week, and that got them going a little bit. So they're all fired up and excited for where we're headed.
Dave, I think I saw 3 of the 6 waiver guys out there. How is the travel set up from the Seattle reinforcements going? Like, are they going to be here tonight?
They're here.
Oh, they are here?
Yeah, they're here. But they had to kind of, red eye it. So we just wanted to be smart about not getting them out there after being on a plane. And they're just kind of going through the whole process today with the medical staff and all that. But, yeah, really exciting stuff. And is for the offense, not great, but for the defense, Keenan Issac had an interception today. Tariq Castrofields had an interception today. Shamar looked good. He looked like he was in position on a lot of those things. So it was cool. Plays came their way. They made them. So that was fantastic to see. And then offensively, it was just really good. We really pushed the first offensive line to be out there longer than normal and get that work, last opportunity to really push them like that before we get into a normal flow of practice next week. So that was great.
Hey, you know what? I've been very critical of Dave Canales. I've been even more critical of Dan Morgan. But they're at least trying to elevate this roster, and that's more than I can say from last year's final regime. Dave is building something here. Obviously, I'm hoping he stays here for a while. It's interesting that he's bringing over defensive guys, knowing that the scheme is most likely going to change next year when Evero gets a job somewhere else. If he ends up staying here in Carolina, I'd be super happy. But I just feel like he's going to get an opportunity if this defense looks good. Right now, I think we're ranked 27 or 28th best defense, on paper at least. And then in fantasy, we're like 22 or 24, something like that. So apparently somebody thinks that this defense is going to make some kind of moves, and I'm super excited for that. Now, where that's probably going to happen, lots of moves in the secondary, and of course pass rush given the injuries, but the more people we can bring in, hopefully we can just bolster.
Yeah.
What does that do to confirm or even reassure the decisions that we just made are coming in and already made?
Yeah, I mean, it's just the fortunate position that we were in, of course. We were last in the NFL, so we were first in the waiver claim, okay? And we wanted to take full advantage of that. And so we saw that as a great opportunity to get a look at some guys and to really have, first dibs on the talent that was out there. And so it was a great corner group, and there was a couple of guys that we didn't end up with that could have potentially helped us as well. And so I was really thrilled to take advantage of that opportunity and to get them out there and see them work today.
If we have first waiver, how do we miss out? Like, we did first waiver, then it goes 2 through thing, or I thought we could make unlimited waiver claims all at once. Maybe I'm just missing something, or maybe there's like a round. I'm not sure. If you know, make sure to put it in the comments.
3 or 4 days, you guys, actually last week, you brought in 4 corners who were 6'1" or taller. A lot of the guys you caught were under that group.
Yeah.
Seems like a pretty Seattle, Pete Carroll-esque thing. What did you learn about having that size on the outside while you were the wide receivers coach going up against, guys like Richard Sherman and all those guys?
Yeah, length is forgiving, especially on close plays, where a receiver could potentially make it. And, defensively, we're still profiling the agility of these guys. So, it's not just good enough to be, 6 feet or above and have length. It's like, can you coordinate all your levers, and can you get your feet underneath you? So we evaluated all that stuff. And, in those close plays, even when the corner is slightly out of position, length is forgiving. You can still make that play. The makeup speed, covering ground, playing the run game. It's a big part of our defense. We want our corners to be physical in the run game. We're asking them to be a part of it and be involved in it. This isn't the traditional, cover corner out there who doesn't necessarily get involved with all the stuff, but we're looking for physical guys too. So. It was a combination, but, it really started with Pete, and it goes back to, the days at USC, and the way that they built those secondary rooms was very similar.
How were you and Evero in the process? Because it had to happen pretty quick from
Yeah.
the time players were released. Did y'all spend all that time watching
Yeah.
film with Dan and his scouts and all?
Yeah.
Just trust them or what?
No, I'm glad you asked. Yeah, this was an all hands on deck thing. So we were with Ajero and Cooley, Dan and the personnel staff, myself included, and we were in there and we looked at all of them. We watched all their traits, and it was just this dialogue that went back and forth. And our commitment to each other was just like, hey, let's be honest about what we see, and we don't have to always agree, but let's hear each other out. And that process was fantastic. When you get that many minds together in an evaluation process, it really, I think it increases your percentage of having the right guys, and the not just the physical traits, but the type of players, the toughness, the active guys chasing the ball from the backside, showing up and making their hits. All that stuff's so important. So it was a great collaborative effort.
Correct.
Yeah, and he's drafting off of traits as well. We know that we wouldn't got Trevin Wallace because he was big, strong, fast. We went out and got Jonathan Brooks because he was just a dynamic running back. We went out and got Xavier because he was big, strong, fast. We went out and got Sanders. Big, strong, fast. Really interesting way to draft.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm sure you saw Keenan Issac pretty often on the scout team in Tampa.
Yeah.
What stood out to you about him as an undrafted rookie?
Yeah.
Willed his way into the
Ball skills, just his general ball awareness and spatial awareness down the field. He tracks it like a receiver. So when you got a guy who's 6'2" with length and tracks the ball like a receiver, that's a great recipe, And I think it was just a matter of time for Keenan catching up to the NFL game. And some guys get it quickly. Some guys it takes them 3 years, and we got him in his second year after having 2 camps in Tampa, and so now he's going to be introduced to a new system. But the speed of play, and what's required from a practice, all those things he's got under his belt. So, that's what I saw from him there. He played sticky and man-to-man, and the zone stuff is just where you have to be disciplined with your eyes, and he's really quick. He's got great feet. So, they had high hopes for him in Tampa as well. And conversations were always like, how can we use him? And he showed up in a couple games, helped on teams, but he definitely flashed even last year.
Dave, in your experience, some general managers view the practice squad as like part of the larger team.
Yeah.
Like it's a 70-man roster as opposed to 53 and 17.
Yeah.
How do you view it? And are you looking at some practice squad guys and thinking, okay, this is how he can help me on Sundays?
Absolutely. And special teams plays a critical role in that, because what I've seen over the years is the guys that get elevated from the practice squad have special teams value. You only get 46. So it's like, if anybody's going to be up and they're not coming into a starting role, offense or defensively, what can they do on teams? And that's typically what separates that group. So that's a part of it. So you do kind of see it as a bigger team in that regard, especially now with our opportunity to call guys up 3 times before you have to commit to them and put them on the roster. You get to see them, hopefully, in some capacity in games. And then, beyond that, the practice squad also is a great way to challenge guys and so that they know, like, this is not a time to get comfortable and you're just here to help us get through practices. We're evaluating you constantly because there's a lot of great players out there and some of them who won't have jobs. So, like, at times we will filter through that practice squad to get more eyes on people over the course of the season.
Interesting way to treat it. I didn't know that they increased it to 3, so that's pretty cool. You can bring guys up, have them play for a game, and then go back down. That will definitely help with our injury bug that keeps biting here in Carolina. But as we move forward, Dave is obviously, again, continuing to try to elevate the personnel. That secondary is really the biggest hole that I've seen. The offensive line, of course, I was worried about health-wise. The secondary, I'm worried about skill-wise. Same reason I put pass rush in there. I was worried about their health, not their skill. I'm worried about the skill of the secondary. And until we can, again, see it in a game, see him go, or that defense go pick up a quarterback, I'm going to be very skeptical. And it's not going to change, especially since we went out big in the waivers, meaning the guys that we had on the roster weren't going to make it anyways. So, crazy.
Dan and Brant were in here earlier this morning. They were talking about kind of the long-term vision as well as putting together a team for right now.
Yeah.
How do you as a coach kind of blend, a right now perspective, get ready for the Saints next Sunday with what this team's got to do 25, 26, 27?
You got to hold both truths at the same time. And it's like, this is the most important day we've had, this practice. And then the next one that will be true. In each game, this is the most important game that we have. All the preseason games, the value of looking at our team and evaluating it. So I have to be so locked in to this moment and never disrespect the moments that we have, the opportunities we have to make our team. And also looking long-term for building the culture of this team the way we want it to by adding tough players, smart players, guys that fit our profile of the players we're looking for. So I always have to operate with both, but not let one or the other distract me from achieving those ends. And it seems like it's kind of talking out of two sides of my mouth, but it really is the challenge of it.
Do you kind of rely on Dan in a regard that way because first-time head coach, you're kind of learning all this stuff on the fly as well and also how to do that?
Absolutely. And anybody with, experience in personnel, that's something that I don't come up here and just say that, I'm the best evaluator that we have. I'm learning the process of how we take these groups of guys so we can focus our evaluation on guys that fit our profile. So they do a great job. Our personnel department does a great job of filtering through so that the coaches, we're looking at a sample size versus looking at the whole thing. And so those are all the things that, I've been really fortunate to be a part of, even going through free agency, the draft, and especially, this waiver claim and this whole time period.
And one of the things that I want you to remember, if he's filtering guys down, he's filtering them based on what? Is it going to be like snaps? No, it's going to be off their intangibles. Big, strong, fast. It's kind of what the old OC wanted to do too. Big, strong, fast with everything. And I think it's kind of funny that we're slowly getting back to that idea that that's what NFL teams in general really want. Big, strong, fast guys. I can teach you, how to read a defense or whatever, but if you can get there in 4.3 seconds, you're different. So that's where I feel like, yeah, he's talking out of both sides because, yeah, I'm a short quarterback whisperer, but every guy I want to put around him is huge. I understand the, talking out of the both sides, like he said.
The practice squad, what are you looking at from Plummer, week to week?
Yeah, just continual development, just looking for his confidence to continue to grow in the ownership of our concepts. You won't be surprised to know that even when he's running scout team offensive reps, most of the time around this league, we have similar concepts, similar runs, similar passes. Never is it all the same, but a lot of these families, we do have similarities. So just looking for him to continue in his discipline of his footwork, throwing the ball with confidence, on time, and then extending plays, and that's like he can take advantage of all those opportunities.
How tall is Jack Plummer? I'm going to dance real quick, okay? He's 6'5". Why is the backup to a 5'10" quarterback 6'5"? Why aren't we trying to get a guy that's at least kind of close to his size?
Clarify just because I was in practice meetings.
Yeah.
Keenan, you said Keenan and Castro both had picks?
Yes, they did.
Okay, cool. And then also Bartholomew was there and everybody's passed their physicals?
Yep.
Coach, you talked about speaking to everybody that y'all were going to cut after you cut them.
Yeah.
Did you did you already have an idea of what guys were going to make the practice squad and express that to them, or is that something that you didn't know going into those conversations?
We had to be really truthful about the guys we wanted to have back, and the guys that I was just honest. I said, okay, you did a great job this camp. Thank you. We evaluated you. We are going to look at what the rest of the league has to get eyes on new people. And I just felt like for closure for the player, giving honest feedback about here's the why. Sometimes it was just the depth issue. Here's where we saw you on the depth chart. We're planning on keeping this many. Sometimes it was not good enough. And this is what we were hoping for, and this is what we saw. From my conversations with the coaches as we got together and talked about the practices, giving them real feedback. It's the same thing as with the team, same thing with the players, is can we give them something tangible to improve upon? I always said, I put myself in their seat in that conversation. I would hope that the coach would say, you need to work on this, and that. You may not like it. It may feel, bad to you, but at the end of the day, it's truthful. I was so fortunate and grateful to be a part of their football life and their career, and I wanted to make sure I followed through all the way with clear feedback in that regard.
It's interesting he really emphasizes closure, though. Like, hey, man, we're going to go look for somebody else. Meaning that you're not going to make this team, don't expect to make this team, don't expect to fall back, at least right now. So I think that's interesting. I like the feedback thing. Yes, I wish it was coming from different coaches. I don't think he really needs to be involved in all of those, but I also understand the gravity of the situation. You're essentially might be losing out on your NFL dream. So having the head coach, I was about to say answer, but tell you directly, go work on these things, probably does really help these guys out quite a bit. So that is the good guy Canales that we see on occasion, or I shouldn't even say on occasion, on the regular. But it's the other sides that we don't really see, the angry sides. He's normally this happy-go-lucky all the time. And hopefully that is bleeding off to all the other employees, everybody involved with the organization, including our crotchety owner, David Tepper.
Speaking of that, you had to have 3 different conversations with, I'm guessing, with Jordan Matthews. One delivering some really bad news,
right,
then some less bad news, and then some great news.
Right.
How did those conversations go?
Yeah, roller coaster, right? I mean, I definitely, have empathy for guys who kind of go through that process, particularly a guy like Jordan who did everything possible, to get himself on this team, and we were able to do that, But to not initially make it, that means something, that means something to a guy, to earn it, to know that you did, to know. But for our roster situation and the way we were doing it, that it didn't work out initially that way, that's hard, and I don't want guys to pretend that they're happy or grateful. I love seeing the guys who are just aware, and you can see how upset they are, and when they felt like they gave it everything they had and were really dependable, So, yeah, those are really difficult conversations. I'm emotionally spent after the last 2 days. I wouldn't have it any other way, and hopefully, because my experience in this league has been, we'll see those guys again at some point. They come back around, whether it's in this season or off season or next year. We see guys again, and I always made sure, let's leave on a good note, and as much of a good note as you can, at least an honest note, so that there's some respect there, so that if we did have a chance to get them back, they would want to come back. So that's kind of what we chose to do.
And I think if the Ian Thomas contract didn't have the cap hit, I think it's like $3 or more $1 million hit if we get rid of him or trade him or whatever. So I think that's more of the reason. Jordan, you're going to have to come back because it's not worth the $4 million to change this. In that situation, you just got to deal, man. Business is business.
Is this do you view this as kind of a little bye weekend for your staff and players, kind of one last cleansing breath before 18 weeks?
Absolutely. It's a huge weekend for us to get reconnected with our families. We've been working nonstop every day, and we're sick of each other, to be honest. We're starting to get on each other's nerves a little bit. So absence makes the heart grow fond. So having a nice weekend away, just hanging out. Ben's got a football game on Saturday, my 12-year-old, so can't wait to get out to see the South Charlotte Patriots run around. And just be a dad and just, run around town with Lizzie and hang out with the kids, So I'm really looking forward to that. The coaches the same, and the players, for that matter, just to kind of step away, recalibrate, reload, and then be ready to come back for game week.
What is the over-under of the amount of fans that now show up to a 13-year-old's football game to see Dave Canales? I'm going to put it probably around 20, 25. It would be crazy if like 100-plus people showed up. It'd also be a little weird, but I'm expecting some people to go find where this game is going to be played and like try to talk to Dave Canales. So I don't think he's really going to get the reprieve that he wants.
Coach the South Charlotte Patriots when you're there at their game?
I try to leave Ben alone. I want it to be his. So I've coached baseball in the past. Lizzie fired me about 3 years ago. She goes, no, you don't get to do this. You just coach for 6 months. So, but I'll be around, and I'll keep my answers. My questions are really short with him. Thank you.
Hey, thank you, Dave Canales. And of course, thank you to the Carolina Panthers for giving us this press conference. He's, of course, telling us so much about this roster, but it's the little nuanced stuff that's not in there. It's, again, like I said, the Ian Thomas contract. It's contractual issues. It's money of the reason why certain guys didn't make the roster. And that's just something they got to deal with. In the future, I think they're going to make the roster. Again, Jalen Coker is still going to remain my dark horse. Hopefully you remain a Carolina Panther a long time, my guy. But overall, Dave is ready. I like that he's telling everybody that he needs a little bit of time off. Everybody's kind of getting on each other's nerves. That's good, to be honest. But when you come back, man, I hope it is turned on light speed, so this way we can get a win in the first week against these New Orleans Saints. Now, they're playing Derek Carr, so we definitely have a chance, because if they played Spencer Rattler, man, we were going to get bit. But regardless, I'm super happy for this, and I hope you are too. Dave Canales continues to bring us bangers, and we break them down in one place and one place only. Roll Coverage, home of the press conference breakdown. Hopefully you come back for more, many more, including more from the NFC South, AFC South, and soon to be more divisions. My name is Nick. This is Roll Coverage. Hopefully you have a great rest of the day. Peace.